because if that is a lesson that can be learned from this experience. And, not that I'm holier than thou by any stretch of the imagination. I've been all over the map with all of this stuff, because I own a business and I have a bunch of employees and I had to lay people off and, all kinds of stuff, I've got a child, so I've been all over the map, but when you go, I've also been through a lot of trauma in my lifetime. And whenever you're in the middle of the trauma, it's hard to see the forest for the trees, so trying to take a step back and look at the big picture and take those moments to reflect and honor the feelings and trace them back. I'm feeling scared right now. That's why I'm acting this way. What am I really afraid of? Am I afraid of something real or perceived? What's real? What's just perceived? The stuff that's real, do I really have any control? Is there anything I can do about it? How is this emotion serving me right now? What can I do differently? Like going through some of those processes are really important, because we learn so much about ourselves. This is an opportunity to learn so much about ourselves. And it's through these kinds of processes that we tend to find more creative fodder. There's so many people around the world innovating right now.
Oh,
bless you.
Excuse me. Yeah, I did it
Okay,
right.
and you did the vampire thing. Good for you.
Well, I'm sorry, Marcia, you're saying there's a lot of people innovating right now.
Innovating all over the world right now, whether they're artists or scientists or whatever. People are innovating because they were able to become inspired by something. So sometimes you have to go deeper in to the darkness to be able to come out the other side. The more we try to fight off the darkness, then we never do the exploration necessary. I know that was a long answer.
No, but it makes sense, because one of the running themes that I've heard from a few different creative people, or from that side of the brain, or just in general, is that this is not so much time of social isolation, social distancing. It can be seen as a time of reflection.
Correct.
Of reflection, to look inwardly and ask yourself all kinds of different things, like, what does this mean? Or should I be doing something different with my life? Or should I finish that script? Or should I try acting? Or, you know what I mean? Like, absolutely. There's so much that can come out of that reflection. It's almost as if Mother Nature said, you know what? you guys need to slow down. Like, we're going to try this thing. And
you're in timeout.
Yeah, basically, like, Mother Nature said, you know what? Go to your room right now. And basically we're in timeout, and in that timeout we got to think about things. And so it's probably going to be a good thing. Exactly what's going to come of it, that's anybody's own individual journey to determine, which I respect, but I feel that something will,
something always does.
That's a good point. That's a good point, because I mean, there's a saying in Spanish, and it has its many variations through many different cultures throughout the world. No hay mal que por bien no venga, which means there's no bad from which good does not come. In other words, there's always some good that comes from bad. Right. Always something good that comes from bad. And so, what that will be, I think, again, reflection as a way for each of us individually to maybe answer that or explore that inwardly, I think. Mara, one of the things that caught my attention that you said a little earlier was the R word, routine. I'm a big believer in routine, because if I don't have my routine or my structure, even on the weekends, even if it's in the form of like 4 things on my to-do list, it's something as simple as that, then I feel like my life is in chaos or, unstructured. And so, and you even mentioned, like, like you in your business, you've not stopped 100%, but at the same time, you're balancing it out with, okay, well, the need to follow the CDC guidelines, but at the same time, still be there for people if and when appropriate. Talk to me about the need for routine, the need to still, for those of us who are not going to work, still get up, brush your teeth, get out of those pajamas. Maybe for the ladies out there who are, into making themselves up, and the guys shaving, like basically staying in that healthy image routine. Talk to me about that importance in the importance of that, and the role of that importance that is playing in this situation.
Well, I think you said it really, really well, and you touched on a variety of things. So, like, one is the order out of, the order from the chaos, right? Any little bit of place where we can have a sense of order from the chaos that makes us feel better is great, as long as we're not so OCD about it that we're having weird negative emotions. Like, we understand why we're doing the things that we're doing. So a friend of mine today, after we went for a walk, we were talking, and for me, it's like putting the right pens in the right cups at the office, right? Or putting the stapler where I like the stapler to be. In that, when I'm doing it, I'm laughing at myself that I'm doing it, but I understand why I'm doing it. So I'm not being angry that somebody had the stapler where they liked it. I'm putting the stapler where I want it because it's the one little thing I can do today that makes me feel a little bit better about how my space looks, the aesthetic of my space. And I'll just use myself as an example. Like, this morning, I woke up extra early because I've been sleeping more than usual because I've been exhausted from all the emotional stress and decision making for my company. But eventually, I guess it's finally getting caught up. So this morning I woke up at like 5:30 in the morning, and I said, okay, do not go into your home office and start working right now, young lady. You cannot work every single hour of every single day. Take a shower, do your hair, do something different. Do that yoga class on YouTube that you've been wanting to do. Make some breakfast, have a cup of coffee, but the thing here is to not do more of the same. So you want some order from the chaos, but you also want to make sure that you're choosing the things that are most healthy for you, not necessarily the things that are the most common to you that might have gotten you to a place where you don't want to be. Does that make sense? So for me as a workaholic, it's very easy for me to just work from home here and then just never stop working.
Yeah. And it makes sense, because I'll have days where I'm editing my feature film currently, and I do it I usually am up at 4 a.m. and I'm editing till about 8, maybe 8:30 at the very latest. I'm getting ready to go to work by that point, but I get so frustrated, and I tell my wife I'm upset with myself because I woke up at 6 or at 7 and I didn't get those 4 hours of editing in.
Right.
And my wife says, it's okay if your body needed just a little more rest, or if you didn't, but that's the big thing that she wanted me to know, is that if you mix it up and do or I was going to say shake it up and do something different,
right,
that's okay too. And I think we have to be okay with that.
Exactly. It's absolutely important. But so again, this is kind of like knowing yourself, right? Yeah. Like, if that editing gives you joy, then it makes sense to do it. If you're doing it because I want to meet a deadline, or I want to get it done, push, well, that's exactly not that's good a case sometimes, but it can't be the constant, because you will wear yourself out, and you will wear down your immune system, and you'll make yourself more susceptible, so it's really important to find those things that are giving you joy, and in finding a routine, making sure that we're making time for those healthy sorts of activities. Because right now, the thing that's most important is that everybody keeps their immune system as strong as it possibly can. Yeah. The last thing you want to be doing is wearing down your immune system by exhausting yourself with work and or worry, and lack of sleep. So when you talked about routine, that structure is great. If you're somebody who gets very agitated when you don't have enough structure, or you can't function without a certain amount of structure, that's something for you to examine a little bit, because that's your control for the structure. If you're someone who can't motivate because you need more structure in your life, then you yours, then that's the person that needs to do a little bit more, right? I'm going to get up, I'm going to get out of the pajamas, I'm going to do that sort of thing. But we're all different. So we have to know ourselves enough to be able to understand what we need to either just to deal, right?
Yeah.
But also to not necessarily, I mean, if you want to use this time to be inspired, right? So this is not directly related to the question that you just asked, but I think it's something that's important that I share with people all the time. Act when you feel inspired to do so. When we act out of obligation, or some other motivation, it often leads to things that are not the best that they could be.
Yeah.
And so the key is, how do we find that inspiration? What does inspiration truly feel like?
And I think that can come through connecting with yourself inwardly, with connecting, some people will call it a gut or your gut.
Right.
Some people call it intuition, other people call it God. I think that takes practice to connect with, but when the world's been, sent to time out, you got time to do
Right.
that, you got time. So
It's really about listening, and it's about feeling. Listening to yourself and listening to your feelings and listening to your body, because many of us have lost the connection to that. Even people who are quote unquote creative. I mean, how many people have had a writer's slump, or they have some kind of a creative slump, and so forth and so on. And so the inspiration or the fire is not there.
yeah.
So that's really the key. And then there are people who are maybe not creatives per se, who just, they can't remember the last time they felt inspired for something, because they've just been on the, conveyor belt of existence in the United States, or wherever they live. Get up, go to work, eat, sleep, get up, go to work,
Yeah.
and not to put that down necessarily, but
I,
we want to feel inspired. We want to feel inspired, most of us.
I think it's a balancing act, if you ask me, because I think we as creatives, or just as human beings, or business owners, we obviously can benefit from structure, but we can also obviously benefit from just maybe stepping away from it for a little bit. So it's not like one's right and one's wrong, or one's good and one's bad. It literally is a balance, and you have to find, and that balance is going to be different things for different people at different times in their life, or maybe even within the same year, but it's a balance. And I think
Totally.
we need to know what that balance is for ourselves personally. And I can speak to that because I'm always readjusting and re-examining and then readjusting what
Right.
that balance looks like for me in my life. And so,
I,
that's why, for example, sorry to cut you off, but that's why I told my wife a good while ago, I can't come home from work, have dinner, take out the trash, maybe walk the dogs, and then sit down and edit, because mentally and physically I'm depleted.
yeah.
I was in my 20s and halfway through my 30s, that energy was just nonstop. And now I can't punish my brain, I can't punish my body with long hours into the night. So here's what I did. I just reallocated my energy, and I said, okay, I'm gonna come home. Now my evenings are for, I'm doing film inspiration episodes. Thank you so much for speaking with me. Other nights it's going to be, spending time with my wife, or, I like to walk the dogs and whatnot. But the thing is that the realignment came from when now I wake up at 4 a.m. I thought, okay, I'm just going to try it. Like, let's just see how it works. Everyone says, oh, waking up early, right? It's hard to do, but when I am able to fall into the groove, I like it. I like it because I force myself in realigning and reassigning my time and reassigning that energy through finding or trying to find a new balance. I
Mm-hmm.
discovered, oh, my energy on the front end of the day is a whole lot better. And here's the best part. By 8 o'clock or 8:30 at the very latest, I need to get ready for work. So there has to be a definite end where is as if I'm editing at nighttime, here comes 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4
Right.
a.m. in the past, and it's just like one more edit, and then all of a sudden you realize like you haven't slept a wink and you have to go to work. That's not good. That's not good anymore. And so, but I figured that out through just the reexamining of what does that balance look like for you? Because again, structure versus leaving the structure, not right and not wrong, not good, not bad. It's just, what does it look like for you?